Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ascentage Pharma's 2025 Annual Results Earnings Call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, we will open the call for questions. As a reminder, today's call is being recorded. Thank you for joining us. I will now turn the call over to Yuli Shen, Senior Director of Investor Relations, for the Safe Harbor Statement. Yuli, please go ahead.
Thank you, Operator. Please note that today's discussion will include forward-looking statements based on our current expectations and assumptions. These statements involve risks and uncertainties, and actual results may differ materially. For full discussion of these risks, please refer to our filings and disclosures. On today's call, I am joined by Dr. Dajun Yang, Chairman and CEO, who will provide an overview of recent developments and 2025 annual performance, as well as Dr. Veet Misra, CFO, who will go through the financial highlights. The presentation will then be followed by a Q&A session. During this Q&A session, the team will be joined by Dr. Yifan Zhai, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Shaomeng Wang, Co-founder, Chief Scientific Advisor, Dr. Zhichao Si, Head of Commercial. I will now turn the call over to Dr. Yang.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Dajun Yang, Chairman and CEO of the company. Today, I'm very happy to present our 2025 full-year financial results and a corporate update. I will have the following agenda: business update, R&D highlights, financial results, and the Q&A session. First, on the business update, 2025 was a breakout year for Ascentage. First, we have achieved excellent total revenue, over 90% growth, and total $82.1 million. Our year-end cash balance is about $353.2 million, cash runway through 2027. I think that 2025, we are the first dual-listed biopharmaceutical company on NASDAQ following our Hong Kong Stock Exchange listing 2019. We successfully raised approximately $322.6 billion through IPO and follow-on offering. It's the first time we have a dual commercial product. Based on that, we established a fully functional, large-scale, and fast-growing commercial team, currently close to 300 staff. We are on the path to be a premium global commercial hematology-oncology company. We also achieved many major R&D milestones. These are the following examples. First, the SOFA approval as a global first single-agent BCL2 inhibitor after BTK treatment in CLL and SLL. GLORA-4 phase 3 registrational trial received clearance globally, including FDA, EMA, and CDE. This is a truly unique opportunity as we are the global phase 3 registration trial in high-risk MDS, the only one in that phase 3 registration trial stage. Polaris-1 for the Ph-positive ALL, the phase 3 registration trial also received clearance globally, including FDA, EMA, and CDE. Part 1 data also reported at the ASH demonstrates strong 64% MRD negative CR rate in the first-line Ph-positive ALL. Olverembatinib granted a breakthrough designation for the first-line treatment of Ph-positive ALL by CDE. We are also really proud to have FDA and CDE IND clearance for our novel BTK degrader, APG-3288. Both the SOFA class and olverembatinib entered 2025 fiscal guidance. multiple oral presentations at ASCO and ASH 2025. We continue to lead in the global innovation for many of our products, including multiple presentations at ASH, AACR, ASCO, EHA, and other conferences. And also we publish on many peer-reviewed top journals. I think that here's our summary of world-class, innovative, highly de-risked, and super late-stage pipeline. Here are the list of 7 novel compounds. The first 2, Olverembatinib as a novel third-generation BCR-ABL inhibitor, and lisaftoclax as the novel BCL-2 selective inhibitor. Both have been marketed in China and also entered 4 global registration trials cleared by FDA, EMA. And total, we actually have 9 registration trials for multiple indications. We also have several novel, potentially first-in-class compounds targeting such as FAK, ALK, ROS1 triple kinase, and MDM2 PV3, the dual BCL2 XL, and the PRC2 third generation, like the EED inhibitor. And more importantly, we have newly cleared phase 1 novel BTK degrader, APG3288. All of these are running the trials in US and China and multiple countries. Many focus on hematology oncology, but also have potential and also in the clinical stage testing indications such as anemia. So we have built a very large commercial scale in China with a dual product approved, especially for our BCL-2 selective inhibitor, lisaftoclax, was ahead of our schedule last year. And with the 2 commercial products, we have built over 270 by the year-end commercial team, covered 1,500 hospitals and more than 800 DTP pharmacies. I think that our dual engine strategy worked well. As you can see, our last year commercial revenue, I think that that's a transition for Ascentage from being rely on the investors and also BD income to the last year 100% sales of the commercial stage of product. I think that that's a really important transition for a company to be able to self-sustain with our own revenue to support our own R&D program. If you look at just the Olverembatinib alone, we have a strong sale following 4 NRDL listing covering CML with without mutation. So if you look at the total sale reaching $62.2 million, that represents 81% year-over-year growth. And they will continue to cover more hospitals, DTP pharmacy, and also a broader reach to the Tier 1 hospitals. And with the full NRDL coverage and also translating into very long DOT, that will support sustained growth as the patient continue to use our drug over a long time. If you look at the lisaftoclax, first, this July approval was ahead of schedule, and we built a very fast and full functional commercial team dedicated to lisaftoclax. So the streamlined go-to-market strategy using the national commercial infrastructure really helped us to rapidly expand the sales force and hospital coverage. So just the first 5 months, we have reached more than $10 million sales. This is, I think, is among top, at least in the hematology oncology product sales in the first couple months in China. And then let's go to the R&D highlight. First, let's look at our lisaftoclax class. It's actively advancing its global phase 3 registrational trials. First, our approval as a single agent for CLL/SLL after BTK inhibitor is really represented the first label for the BCL2 selective inhibitor. As you know, venetoclax was approved 2016, and continually the only single agent was limited to the 70p delete CLL and SL. The other CLL/SL is all combination with the CD20 antibodies. Our GLORA2 and the GLORA3 also received FDA, EMA, and the CDE clearance. And more importantly, I think that the GLORA4 is the first-line high-risk MDS in combination with AZA or without the azacitidine control arm. Both received the FDA, EMA, and the CDE clearance. Will continue pushing forward all these important global phase 3 registration trials. I want to share a few important clinical data with you. First, with the single agent approval, based on the CC201 registration study, those patients actually have much poor baseline characteristics. First, the CDE actually gave us a very high bar about 4 or 5 years ago, required all these CLL/SL patients have to fail both BTK and CD20 antibody-based therapy. Many of them have a high risk complex karyotype, and also many have multiple mutations. So we achieved a very good efficacy as a single agent and demonstrate a favorable safety profile. If you look at another key data in the AML and the MDS, actually this is primarily US and Australia data with the leading PI from the US. And this is actually has presented both at the ASCO and the ASH. If you look at our ORR as a combination with the AZA, in the naive, newly diagnosed AML patient, we achieved the ORR 83%. And more importantly, in some cases, about 22 patients who have failed venetoclax, we also achieved 32% ORR. In the MDS, we have in the newly diagnosed 80%, and in the second line RR MDS, we have 50% ORR. I think based on those excellent data and many other clinical data, FDA gives us clearance to conduct global phase 3 registration trial as the first line for the high-risk MDS. And this has been cleared by FDA, EMA, and the CDE, actually among close to 20 countries' regulatory agencies. So we are actively enroll patients in US, Europe, China, and throughout the world. So if successfully carried out, lisaftoclax can become the first BCL2 inhibitor for the treatment of first-line high-risk MDS. This is really a global unmet medical need, as there's no target therapy approved in the last 20 years, and current therapy have much poor efficacy, and 5-year survival rate for high-risk patients is only about 16 to 24%. We are also very proud this global effort is leading by Dr. Garcia Manero from MD Anderson and Dr. Xiaojun Huang from Peking University People's Hospital, and many excellent experts and PIs for MDS around the world. Based on the public information, we want to highlight a few key difference of our drug versus the venetoclax or sonrotoclax. If we look at based on the similar registration trial study, again, this is not a head-to-head comparison, but a really similar patient population, including those in China. So if you look at the SAE incidence, it's much higher for venetoclax or sonrotoclax, and the infection rate also significantly higher. So that's consistent with the clinical observation that lisaftoclax have a better safety profile, better tolerance, and more importantly, we have a better drug compatibility. CLL/SLL patients often are elderly and immunocompromised with frequent infections. Commonly used antifungal drugs are strong 3A4 inhibitors, but does not affect our lisaftoclax PK. So if you look at the PK variability in combination with some strong 3A4 inhibitors, I think that the impact for lisaftoclax is minimal. For other two drugs, either need to about 8 times or 11 times need to be at adjusted dose if they're combining those. That will strongly affect clinical combination studies. And also, look at the PTP or BCRP substrates or inhibitors. Lisaftoclax is probably the one have a minimal risk in those combination studies. No need to adjust dose with like many BTK inhibitors. I think that those are really unique advantage for lisaftoclax as the BCL2 selective inhibitor. I also want to highlight a few important progress made and summary here for Olverembatinib. Olverembatinib is approved with full coverage by NRDL. We see excellent commercial coverage and the revenue growth last year. Globally, we are conducting Polaris-2 for the CML, and this single agent study in RCT with the bosutinib as a control arm also received the FDA, EMA, CDE, and the PMDA clearance. So we are actively pursuing advancing the global enrollment. Polaris-1 is very important. This is the first time we got a clearance last year for the first-line Ph positive ALL. And this also cleared by FDA, EMA, and the CDE in China with a breakthrough designation. Part one of this trial, the same trial design data was presented at ASH. And you can see the data from next couple slides. First, in the part A of the phase 3 registration trial, in combination with low intensity chemo as the first line, we have achieved 64% MRD negative CR rate. This is almost double the same patient population for the ponatinib, which only have 34.4% MRD negative CR rate. But this is actually among all the BCL-ABL inhibitors, the best one. So we actually almost double the currently the best BCL-ABL inhibitor for the same patient population, and also demonstrate really well safety profile. Another data is looking the potential second-line treatment for the CML CP patients. This is also again presented at the ASH last year. We can achieve more than 70% CCYR rate, more than 40% MMR rate, and also have a very durable, sustained response. Another important is in the blast crisis of the CML. I think we demonstrate in more than 64 patients with blast phase and also some serious cytogenetic abnormalities and complex karyotypes. And those patients did very well, and also into the sustained remission with improved survival and much reduced non-relapse mortalities. Another potential treatment is really for the combination with our Olverembatinib, and in this case, it's actually in the pediatric patient population that is a first-line regimen in the Ph-positive ALL, demonstrate really excellent efficacy and the safety profile. I think that this would be really important for some of the patients to receive the chemo-free and the two orally active agents with a long-term benefit. Olverembatinib as a multiple kinase inhibitor also demonstrates clinical benefit for some rare hematological malignancies, such as this really hard to treat myelolymphoid neoplasm with the FGFR rearrangement. And this actually take a while to recruit those patients, but most of them achieve an excellent response clinically. And we continue to push our pipeline. In the interest of time, we only show one example as our novel BTK degrader, APG3288. This actually we receive almost the same time clearance by FDA and the CDE. And based on the preclinical data, I think we also did a comparison with B1 or Nurix BTK degrader, demonstrate good selectivity and potency. And we'll push forward this compound in US and China for multiple indications. I think that in summary, lisaftoclax as a really safe and potent BCL2 selective inhibitor. Some refer BCL2 inhibitor as a small molecule of a PD-1. That really means it has multiple indications and also opportunity for multiple combinations. But I think that more importantly, we are probably globally the only company has not just the BCL2 selective inhibitor, but also Olverembatinib, representing the best third generation BCL-ABL inhibitor, and the MDM2-p53 inhibitor, and also the novel new BTK protein degrader. As you can see, each one of these is a single agent or in combination, have potential to treat multiple B-cell malignancies, among many hematological malignancies. Lastly, I think I will turn the financial result to our CFO, Wee. Let's go to the slide number 28.
Thank you, Dr. Yang. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so 2025 was a successful year for us as we established our commercial strength with now 2 approved novel oncology products. In 2025, our total revenue was US $82.1 million, excluding payments from Takeda as a comparison to last year, which represents a year-over-year increase of 90% on a constant exchange rate basis. This high revenue growth rate was driven by our aforementioned dual engine commercialization strategy, as articulated by Dr. Yang, and centered on Olverembatinib and lisaftoclax. Turning to Olverembatinib and lisaftoclax individually, Olverembatinib sales of US $62.2 million represents a year-over-year growth of 81%. Sales of this product reflected first full year of NRDL inclusion, hospital and DTP market penetration, which drove increased volume uptake. Turning to lisaftoclax, which was approved in July 2025, first 5-month sales of $10.1 million was attributed to our established commercial infrastructure that was built to scale ahead of approval and is anticipated to drive strong market penetration going forward. At the same time, we continue to adhere to a disciplined approach to efficiently manage and prioritize our operating expenses to support accelerated commercial activity as well as our ongoing clinical studies, including global registrational trials. As you can see, our year-over-year increase in R&D expense from $130 million to $163 million year-over-year, which is tied to advancing ongoing global pivotal studies, represents a 20.1% growth rate to support trials ongoing that are expanding and moving forward. In addition, the increase in S&D expenses, sales and distribution in 2025 from $27 million to $51 million was primarily driven for sales force expansion ahead of commercial launch of Lisofexor, which is an efficient use of capital. So as you can see, the increase in these two major line expense items compared to our revenue growth demonstrates our disciplined approach. Finally, in terms of our cash balance, our 2025 year-end cash balance of $353.2 million compared to $172.8 million reported year-end 2024 is a result of product sales and two completed successful financings in 2025. Our January 2025 NASDAQ IPO, as well as our follow-on offering in July 2025 on the heels of Lisofexor approval, raising combined proceeds of $322.6 million. So as a result, this allows us to maintain our estimate of cash runway through 2027, as we've stated before, which importantly funds us through multiple key registrational studies that are being conducted globally and execution of our overall commercialization strategy. Thank you. I'll now turn it back to you, Dr. Yang.
Thank you, Wei. So I also want to present our clinical catalyst and a milestone for 2026. On the clinical development side, our major focus will be advanced enrollment for the GLORA and the GLORA-4 registration trial, and also advanced enrollment for Olverembatinib in terms of POLARIS-2 trial and also POLARIS-1 trial. I think as we mentioned earlier with our team, I think that the key word for 2026 is really the enrollment. I think we'll do our best to achieve and complete enrollment and then be able to file NDA in 2027. We'll continue to push the degrader APG-3288 global phase 1 study in terms of safety, tolerability, PK, and potential efficacy data, and then also advance our EED inhibitor APG-5918 in both oncology and anemia. Of course, we'll continue to push other active compounds in clinical study in the US and China as well. But I think that the major in terms of milestone for the clinical development are those highlighted here. On the commercial front, we will continue drive the sales growth for Olverembatinib and also the Lisofexor to the tier 1 hospitals and the more pharmacies. And for the Lisofexor, we will do our best for the benefit of patients, especially CLL, together to the NRDL coverage in China in 2026. I think that the key driver for Ascentage to be a global player in hematology oncology is really driven by the two novel and potentially best-in-class compound, Olverembatinib and Lisofexor. We also have a dedicated hematology oncology sales force, not just based on the really rapid scale in China, but more importantly, our global strategy, positioning, and branding. I think with our world-class clinical execution and a proven track record of translating the clinical development into the novel commercial product and advance our best-in-class potential therapeutics in global registration studies. I think with the dedication and the effort from all our team and also our collaborators and the PIs around the world, will really moving our pipeline to addressing the global unmet medical need, making Ascentage to become the global leader in these therapeutic areas. Lastly, I think with the patient-centric innovation and global breakthrough therapies, and with currently 7, we'll call the 7 magnificent, 7 active compounds, small molecule drugs in active clinical trials, addressing multiple hematology malignancies from the CML, ALL to CLL, AML, MDS, multiple myeloma, and potentially some of the lymphomas and anemias. Hopefully, with all your support, we can make 2026 another successful year for Ascentage. Thank you all for your attention, and now we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, please press star, then 1 on your telephone keypad. We will take our first question. The first question comes from the line of Brian Cheng from JP Morgan. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hey guys, thanks for taking our questions this morning, Dr. Yang and Lisa. Good to chat with you. Maybe just first, Dr. Yang, you talk about how this year is really about enrollment. Can you give us a bit more color on where you are in terms of enrollment for your registrational studies, especially the GLORA-4 study in MDS with lisaftoclax, and also the Polaris-1 study in Ph-positive ALL? And related to those indications, how should we think about the next data milestones at the upcoming medical conferences later this year? Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Very excellent question. I think let me maybe addressing in these two parts. First, for the GLORA-4 MDS, high-risk MDS, we are very happy to see this phase 3 registration trial protocol receive a clearance by not just the FDA, EMA, CDE, and also among close to 20 countries regulatory agency. And this is the first-line treatment for the treatment-naive, newly diagnosed high-risk MDS. And more importantly, this is now really the only phase 3 registration trial in the high-risk MDS globally. And we are very happy to receive the support from the PIs around the world. And they're really enthusiastic for this clinical trial to help patients globally with the MDS. And with the Polaris-1, this is the first-line Ph-positive ALL. As you know, we also presented a part 1 of the same protocol data at ASH. The 3 months MRD negative rate CR is 64%, almost double the ponatinib on the same patient population, about only 34%. So I think that those 2 registration trials are both for the first-line treatment, which will actually much easier enroll than some of the late-line protocols. And of course, also have a huge potential market return. And with those 2 first-line treatment, and you can see MDS, we are the only one front runner in the phase 3 registration trial globally. There's almost no competition there. The Polaris-1 is the first line for the Ph-positive ALL, also with excellent data, potentially the best in class for the Ph-positive ALL patient population. So I think enrollment are doing well, and even though both only initiated late last year, but we see so far the very excellent enrollment and very strong support from the healthcare providers around the world. And the Polaris-1 only requires 3 months MRD negative CR rate as a primary endpoint. And also we have a strong support from FDA and all the regulatory agencies to support the protocol of the GLORA-4. I think overall we will do our best to achieve complete enrollment, and with the current the timeline and the primary endpoint, we anticipate do the best we can, and then to be able release the top line data or complete enrollment, and then be able to file NDA in 2027.
Got it. And maybe just one more. Just how do you think about the commercial growth opportunities for both Olverembatinib and Lisaftoclax franchise this year in China? Are there any specific drivers that you see today that your sales team is fully leaning on? And then perhaps we actually have a follow-up after this. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe for the commercial part, we can have our head of commercial, Zhichao, to address the part of your question first.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. And if you look at the actual driver of growth in 2025 in China, I believe there are several key drivers. And first of all, if you look at Olverembatinib, and which really benefit from the broader reimbursement support, the affordability after NRDL inclusion, right, which Dr. Yang also mentioned, and also very strong patient affordability improvement. And second, if we look at our annual report, we continue to expand the hospital and D2C pharmacy access with more than 800 hospitals and D2C pharmacy, which significantly improved the accessibility by the year end, which also include more than 355 hospitals with formula access. You know, hospital listing is very important in China market. And third, I believe if you look at the Lisaftoclax, which was approved in China and since July, and we got sales for 5 months, and Lisaftoclax, I mean, really give us a second growth engine after launch and generating more than 70 million RMB and in the first 5 years on the market. And fourth, I think we scaled our commercial organization, and Dr. Yang and Dr. Wei both mentioned we scaled up our commercial organization meaningfully. Our team actually almost tripled compared to 2025, compared to 2024. And this commercialization team growing to more than 270 people and converting more than 1,500 hospitals nationwide. I believe that's the key drivers for the last year's commercial growth. Thank you.
Great. And then maybe just lastly, just want to touch on your BTK degrader here. Dr. Yang, can you first give us a better sense of how you see differentiation compared to other BTK degrader that's out there? And then as you think about your phase 1 study, what would be good to see from this initial phase 1?
Brian, very good question. For the first maybe clinical part, I will have our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Zhai, to address. Yifan, can you hear? So if not, maybe let me try to answer your question. So first, we have conduct very thorough, of course, is currently preclinical data to compare our BTK degrader with B1 or Nurix. I think based on this comparison, we selected our candidate compound moving into the phase 1. And based on the preclinical data, at least we show better selectivity and also more potency. That's number one. Number two, I think that as the BTK is validated target, the BTK degrader can take care many of the BTK inhibitors, covalent, non-covalent mutation or not, basically have a broad efficacy in the oncology space. I think the most unique for Ascentage, once we go through the phase 1 typical safety, tolerability, PK, and some signal of efficacy with the potential RP2D, we probably will move very quickly into the potential single agent indications for the fast to market approach. The second part, I think, unique to Ascentage, that we have a very excellent BCL2 selective inhibitor. So the combination of a BTK inhibitor or degrader and a BCL2 inhibitor could really offer some the hard to treat patients benefit. And in the case of the CLL/SL, at least with the fixed duration, is really potential, even in some case, clinical cure. That means there's no progression after 5 years treatment. Stop treatment. I think that will also offer additional benefit, especially for the young patient with the CLL/SL. And in combination with the BCL2, maybe also can treat some hard to treat, like DLBCL. I think thirdly, I think also at least a part of our, moving forward strategy potential, the maximum return is that there are also many non-oncology indications for the BTK degrader, like autoimmune diseases. I think with all those three reasons, we are really looking forward to full speed to push this novel BTK degrader into the clinic development and many other potential combinations and indications.
Great. Well, thanks for the color and thanks for taking our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will take our next question. Your next question comes from the line of Byron Amin from Piper Sandler. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. Maybe to start, for Olverembatinib, what is your market share in China versus Asciminib and Ponatinib? And which CML patients are you seeing the most adoption? And then I guess, for second half 2025, sales grew by about 7% versus first half 25. What can we expect for the growth rate for Olverembatinib in 2026? Thank you.
Very good question. The 2025 was the first year for the NRDL coverage, and especially for the with or without mutation. And so the patient population compare our first approved indication with T315 mutation only, the patient population more than tripled. That's number one. The NRDL coverage for this chronic patient is really significant, as they can average nationwide can reduce at least 70% the payment. And in certain better economy the countries, per province, the reduction payment can be reduced by 90%. So that's really significant, as this patient is taking the drug long time, right? Very good long DOT. So the NRDL coverage in China for the CML patient, we see really benefit, important benefit. The patient population in China, as other lay line treatment, like you mentioned, Asciminib or Ponatinib, both were only approved last year. Okay, but they don't have any establishment or the data from China. We also have last 3-4 years market use, even though for small dedicated mutation patient population. But overall, the physicians and the patients are really well educated position once they get into the full NRDL coverage. For both Ascentage and ponatinib, they were not under NRDL coverage. Okay, so that also limit the use of those two drugs. Only got approved a year ago. So there not really much sales affordability for those not NRDL covered, the Ascentage or ponatinib in China. Then moving forward for 2026, we see the benefit of NRDL will continue as the price is good for 2 years. And if we just looking a little bit next year ahead of NRDL renewal, we're also very confident as the new policy from the NRDL is to maximize the support for the novel agent and also those unmet medical need. I think Olverembatinib is one of the examples falling into the category with strong support by the NRDL. And also we currently, another important indication, also very high prevalence disease is Ph positive ALL. In the real world, we do have many Ph positive ALL patients benefit by the Olverembatinib. But at the same time, because they're not officially into the NRDL coverage, so currently in those patient population, we still want to finish our registration trial, be able to get into the NRDL. So moving forward, I think that there's a continued expansion and the growth of the revenue for Olverembatinib in China, both CML and the Ph positive ALL.
Thank you for that, Dr. Yang. And maybe just a follow-up. Clearly, there's a lot of focus on the CML treatment landscape, especially, yesterday Merck announced acquisition of Terns for $6.7 billion. How do you think Olverembatinib would fit into the emerging treatment landscape in the U.S. for CML? And then second question, which of your global pivotal trials across both Olverembatinib and Lisaftoclax can we expect to see data in 2027? Thank you.
Great, really excellent question. And actually, we're all very excited to see the acquisition of the Terns by Merck with obviously really good price, $6.7 billion in all cash. I think the positive side is really that means the CML market globally is actually quite big, right? So to be honest, a couple of years ago when we were developing Olverembatinib, there are some concerns from the investors that maybe this indication is small compared like a lung cancer, breast cancer. But if you look at the history, the first generation, the imatinib, Gleevec, actually just in the CML alone, the peak sale before patent expiration is almost 5 billion peak sale annually, right? So I think overall, the current CML market globally, the peak sale is about, I think the total annual sale is about 7 billion. And Ascentage last year already reached more than 1 billion sales. So I think that there's estimate the potential, just a CML global market, the peak sale can reach over $14 billion. So I think this is also supported by the Merck acquisition of Terns, primarily for the CML drug, Terns 701. So that's a very great news, great stimulation for the market, for the investors' confidence in this indication and novel drugs. To answer your question, I think we are very also happy we entered the option agreement with Takeda about 2 years ago, the June 2024. I think globally, Takeda will be our partner. I think, as you know, in the CML and the AL space globally, Takeda is really one of the leading company, aside from the Novartis. I think Takeda will be our strong the best commercial partner for olverembatinib moving forward. The third part of your question is about the registration trial of the two drugs, right?
Yes, that's correct. Which of your trials could we expect to see data in 2027 that are global pivotal?
Yeah, I think we currently pushing forward really full speed for the best effort for the GLORA-4, the high-risk MDS registration trial, and also both Polaris-2 and Polaris-1 for the olverembatinib. I think that the Polaris-2 or Polaris-1, Polaris-2 is 6 months MMR rate after the last patient for the potential accelerated approval, and the Polaris-1 is 3 months MRD negative CR rate. So I think that once we complete enrollment, those two probably most likely would have an opportunity to file the NDA in 2027. The GLORA-4 actually also have a good chance because we enroll patient very fast. As in this indication with the BCL2 inhibitor, we are the only registration trial globally for high-risk MDS because many drugs failed, including Verona trial was negative. So we do see a really strong interest and really good enrollment in that space. And with the current protocol achieve, I think this is in my 20 years of drug development record, is really the first time for the registration trial of the same protocol, approved, cleared by multiple regulatory agency in the same indication. As you know, in our CRL, we actually did 3 different registration trial because of different landscape and the different regulatory requirement. So I think we're very happy to see the GLORA-4 registration trial enrollment is actually really promising, and with potentially also looking forward to have the NDA filing in 2027.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take our next question. Your next question comes from the line of Gregory Renza from Truist Securities. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hi, Dr. Yang and Ascentage team. Congrats on the progress. This is support on for Greg. Just continuing on the theme of the last question, just was wondering if you could characterize olverembatinib's profile relative to TERN-701, particularly around the 24 weeks or 6 months MMR rate, with your existing data. And then just as a follow-up, so on, I know you have a Polaris-2 study going, but just curious about potentially expanding, into second line or earlier lines in CML. What's the progress on that one? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Obviously, we are very happy to see Terns acquisition and also 11 data presented at the ASH last year. But I think olverembatinib will really have a unique advantage based on the clinical data, right? So we probably the same ATP binding inhibitor as 11, and the Terns is more like a Ascentage as an allosteric inhibitor. But do remember, both drugs are in phase 1 or phase 1/2 and but they have much less patient number compared to olverembatinib. And these are based on current data, they are less than 100. And also the dose in terms of for the RP3D or registration trial has not established for both drugs. And at least based on the current published data, it's not clear they're working on any gatekeeper mutation T315I or those with compound mutations. Is not reported, or based on the Ascentage data, require 5 times dose for those with T315 mutation. So clearly, there's no long-term safety data or efficacy data, and there's no also a report on any efficacy in the Ph-positive ALL. And specifically, if you look at you mentioned like MMR rate, I think one is much less patient population, patient number, but more importantly, if you look at the line of prior treatment, we published the data on JAMA Oncology a year ago, and also have the presentation at ASCO and ASH that the patient population we treated in the U.S. primarily with PIs from the MD Anderson and others were heavily pretreated. They are representing the CML patient of 4th or 5th line, and 1/3 of them has a T315 mutation. So I think all the BCR-ABL inhibitor, either kinase inhibitor or allosteric inhibitor, the response is really depend on the patient baseline characteristics, how many prior lines treatment and a mutation profile. So I think that of course this is not head-to-head comparison, but just with the current data, I think that we really demonstrate very broad, very potent activities and also long-term safety profile and the efficacy as well. So I think that another thing I think for both drugs, especially under the Project Optimus, FDA would require Terns compound and the others have to do the RCT, right? They have to do the RCT trial to get approval, and in that case, they also must have a control arm. So it's hard to see, what would be the control arm, but these are definitely required based on the Project Optimus, the optimal dose in terms of safety, efficacy, and the RCT design and the control arm. So, but I think overall we are really confident, especially with our partner Takeda, we're going to position well for the late line CML, for those with mutation, and also very active the data in the Ph-positive ALL. And we already conducted, published the ASH data for the second line, the CML patients. I think actually in China, the approval label is what we call the near second line approval, because it says 2 TKI resistant and or intolerant. So I think we are really confident we will benefit the patient for those early line as well. But of course, we will conduct the more studies, especially after we complete the registration trial for Olverembatinib.
Got it. If I may squeeze in one more, Lisa has really strong start, following 5 months of launch. But we know that V1 has that BCL2 inhibitor just approved recently as well. Just curious how that would play into dynamics for Lisa's uptake in 2026. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that the first in China we were the first domestic BCL2 inhibitor commercialized last year. So we were at least 6 months ahead of B1 surrender class approval in China. That's number one. Number two, I think based on the data, current data, safety, and also another thing is the surrender class dosing up is similar to the vanilla class, weekly dosing up, and the starting dose for surrender class is actually 1 milligram, and the approval dose is 320 milligram. So from 1 milligram to 320 milligram, and with 5 different dose strengths, and taken 9 steps, okay, to do the dosing up. I think that's really, not convenient for patients with CLL and SL. And also, if you look at the overall safety profile, the SAE, even some of the deaths in that registration trial, and the infection rate and so on, the subclass is probably the best among the currently three market BCL2 inhibitor. And actually, this on the published the drug label, sonrotoclax actually have even worse DDI risk among the three drugs. So I think we are confident that we'll continue to do well and expand commercial sales coverage, and also especially the registration trial among the globally for the MDS, and also our GLORA-2 and the GLORA-3 also approved by CDE and other countries. The GLORA-2 will offer the patients with CLL the first-line treatment in combination with Acala in a fixed duration. The 18-month fixed duration with the CIT as a control arm. I think that actually is doing well in terms of enrollment. And the GLORA-3 is the AML, and we are also the first, the only, the AML registration trial approved by the CDE more than a year ago, and currently active enroll. And this is the same, validated indication, validated protocol. We expect we will do well for both GLORA-2 and GLORA-3 in China and a few other countries. And of course, they both are not yet for the US or Europe because the control arm or because of the trial design. But I think to answer your question, I think we'll do well, not just because we are 6 months ahead of approval for sonrotoclax, but based on the very excellent drug properties and the clinical data, and as well as the multiple indications, we are more in a advanced position the sonrotoclax in China or globally.
Thank you. We will take our next question. Your next question comes from the line of Jeet Mukherjee from BTIG. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Great. Thanks for taking our question. 2 questions from us. In terms of the China opportunity and your ongoing launch there, is there a target number of hospitals that you aim to have under formulary for both products that are there? Just trying to get some visibility into the long-term opportunity and peak sales potential for both drugs. And the second question, coming back to your BTK degrader, certainly focus on the oncology side of things, but do you have any plans or intentions to go into non-oncology opportunities such as I&I or CNS diseases? Thank you.
Yeah, for your first question, I think the hematology oncology commercialization in China is really unique because in China those disease and treatment are highly concentrated to some of the top hospitals or cancer centers. So to cover, our aim is to cover at least 80% of the sales potential. That represents probably around 2,000 hospitals. Okay, and so we already covered about 1,500 hospitals. Okay, so the commercial team for the hematology oncology is really different than like a solid tumor, lung cancer, breast cancer. As those indications, probably you need easily probably 2,000 to 3,000 sales force to cover the 80% potential sales. So that's the benefit to develop the hematology oncology product in terms of commercialization in China. So I think we currently have 300 staff in the commercial team. We'll continue to make that, to expand that to about probably 400 to 500. And then with a much deeper coverage, probably close to about 2,000 hospitals. The second question, I think, is very interesting. As I mentioned, one of the reasons we felt that BTK degrader, even though we are not the first one, but it's not really too late. The first is there's a lot of, this is validated target, and also the BTK degrader to take care of many of the inhibitors, but it doesn't matter if it's covalent or non-covalent mutation or not. That's one. Second is, as your question pointed out, the BTK degrader, like some of the other BTK inhibitors, that actually have more probably potential in non-oncology, some of the autoimmune diseases, and also with just probably a little bit CNS penetration, which we have based on the preclinical data, those may actually to treat some of the CNS indications as well. So we do have a strong confidence and see much huge potential for the BTK degrader in oncology and non-oncology, and also with our BCL2 inhibitor in terms of combination.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Matthew Biegler from Opco. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hey, great. Thanks, Dr. Yang, for the question. Just wanted to piggyback on some earlier comments on the BTK degrader, particularly the ability to combine with LISA in earlier line settings. I guess, like the 30,000-foot view question here is, like, do you think the CLL market is heading in the direction of an all-oral, time-limited therapy a la CLL 117 trial that we saw at ASH? And do you think that setup, or how do you think that setup plays to Ascentage's favor here with BTK degrader and Lisaptoclax? Thanks very much.
Excellent question. I think obviously the BTK inhibitor is well established for the CLL globally, and the current inhibitor already generated annual sales more than $14 billion. So that's a huge benefit. But at the same time, as you pointed out, the CLL, especially some the young patients with the CLL, they don't like to take either BTK or BCL2 inhibitor for the lifetime, right? So the fixed duration, especially the combination of the BTK currently mostly inhibitor with the BCL2 inhibitor, really offer the patient another option. They don't have to take the drug a lifetime, right? So the current data pointed out actually at least the combination BTK inhibitor primarily with the inhibitor offer a good benefit in terms of really durable PFS over 5 years, right? And the BCL2, our drug, the Lisaptoclax, having very unique benefit in terms of other inhibitors is that we don't have a DDI issue. We don't have a DDI issue with the BTK inhibitor, and much less DDI risk with other potential, antifungal drugs. That's very important. And then on top of that, with the degrader, it's not too late because they take care of any of the inhibitors issues, mutation or not. And I think our plan, and hopefully we can demonstrate that with the clinical data, is that the BTK degrader combined with the Lisaptoclax, first is to offer the fixed duration and be able to have a long-term benefit in terms of PFS. And then in certain cases, because you offer the best treatment regimen early on, then you may actually offer the clinical cure for some of the CLL patients. That's in the CLL/SL space. Number two is from the BTK degrader. I think another potential, especially in combination with the BCL2 inhibitor, maybe offer some the hard to treat disease like a DLBCL, or in the case the BTK single agent failed the patients, right? So one of our strategy globally is our GLORA trial is the add-on strategy. because the single agent alone of BTK inhibitor or degrader probably at least half of them cannot achieve the optimal response in terms of CR. So in that case, you combine with the BCL2 inhibitor, will then offer the patient better response, deeper response, and then potentially in terms of fixed duration to stop the treatment with the long PFS. So I think that the Ascentage is really in a unique position to having both the BTK degrader and the BCL2 inhibitor for those multiple indications.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will take our next question. Your next question comes from the line of Christopher Liao from Lucid Capital Markets. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thanks for the question and congrats on the quarter. Just wondering if you have any insight into, what the go, no-go decision would be from Takeda in order to opt in from their agreement?
First, our current partner agreement is for the option agreement, right? Because they have competitive product, ponatinib, that's based on some of the antitrust rules. And there are cases, before that in the antitrust issue that they may have to return the drug if, there's that competition, the antitrust issue. So the current agreement, but still is exclusive global partnership. So basically, both Takeda and Ascentage are bound to have that partnership to work together. That's number one. Number two, of course, they have to get either clear antitrust or to wait the patent expiration of ponatinib, which I believe is later this year or early next year. I think that with that patent expiration, then there's no issue in terms of antitrust issue. Thirdly, I think for your question, of course, first of all, we already a partner. We are strongly bound, exclusive. But at the same time, in terms of when to access the option, which I honestly cannot speak for my partner. But with the Merck acquisition of Terns for over $6 billion, I think that there's no reason that we do not work together and maybe work together early in terms of access the option as your question. So I do think that there is a benefit to both parties that we move forward, pushing forward full speed on the Olverembatinib commercialization for the global market.
And for Lisafaclax, would you be looking to partner that asset as well, or are you pretty adamant about going alone with that asset?
I think that we are really open and flexible. As I mentioned at the JP Morgan conference, we are open, flexible, ready to enter any partnership that will benefit, bring the synergy with our product and also the complementary resources to commercialization on the large scale on the more global market. But of course, at the same time, we are within the time frame of be ready commercialization in 2 years, and many the expert in the commercialization is that you need to be minimum ready 2 years ahead of anticipate the commercialization. So I think we are in a position and actively looking for the chief commercial officer. That's more, I would say, our dual strategy that combines business development partnership and also to build, at least in U.S., our commercialization capabilities. They are not exclusive. They are really work hand in hand in parallel. I think either case will benefit strongly our lisaftoclax commercialization, at least in U.S. and also through the potential partners, either U.S. or global. So I think that we are in a really good position in terms of clinical development, be ready for commercialization, and also looking for the partners that can bring the best value to this product and also patients globally.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will take our next question. Your next question comes from the line of Michael King from Rodman & Renshaw. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Oh, thanks for taking the question. I had a question about the allosteric inhibitors, and that was answered earlier in the call.
So what's the question?
Oh, I was just looking for your commentary on the, the market dynamics of the introduction of some of the, asciminib and the allosteric inhibitors in the CML space.
Oh, okay. No, I think that the current data, first, asciminib as allosteric is doing well, right? Last year, sales more than $1 billion. And in certain countries, like the U.S., also received the conditional approval, accelerated approval for the first line CML. But the Terns compound 11 do not have data, at least clinical data, to show the activity in terms of T315 mutation, the gatekeeper mutation, and those with T315 mutation plus other mutations, the compound mutations. So I think that ponatinib, of course, there's a patent and safety issues. So currently, our strong competitor, to be honest, we consider asciminib, but they are not active in about 40% of the lay line CML, which require 5 times dose or 5 times the cost. All the drugs, based on the current data, does not show activity or strong activity as olverembatinib in Ph-positive AL. So I think that those two are based on the current clinical data, which olverembatinib has advantage over those asciminib. And 11 Terns first, they are still early, require RCT trial and approval by the FDA. And more importantly, I think that the lay lines, we are definitely the best and the most potent one, and the broad activity against all mutations. The early line, I think we are doing the second line trial. We do have early data to support that. I think that they focus, if you look at the current market share, 2 of the second line actually is taking the most the market shares. Among the 7 billion annual sales, 2 of the second line has been consistently taken each about 2 billion annual sales. Okay. Moving forward, I think the currently there's including the asciminib, there are 5 drugs with the first line label. So for Terns or any other compound try to moving into the first line, is going to be heavy hill battle, and they also take a long time and they're very costly. So I think that our focus is really moving forward, and also based on the data, is probably olverembatinib could be the first choice of the TKI for the second line patients. So in that regard, that we don't worry about the competition of the first line. Actually, more first line treatment, the patient will filter through to olverembatinib in terms of the best second line treatment.
Thanks for taking the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no further questions at this time. I would like to turn the call back to management for any closing remarks.
First, thank you all for attending and also really excellent, insightful questions. This is a very timing in terms of our annual report for 2025, representing the first year we have a dual engine for commercialization, build a full-scale functional sales force, and also the first time as a dual primary listed company on NASDAQ. So moving forward, we also see really strong confidence and broad potential in CML, ALL, and also really the probably cornerstone product for hematology oncology with our selective BCL2 inhibitor. We are probably in a really best position in the global novel product development, that not just being the first approval commercialized in China in those products and indications, but globally we are the potentially best in class with the clinical data in terms of safety, efficacy, and also in the registration trial. I think that's a really unique position. At the same time, of course, there's a huge potential in terms of commercialization readiness in U.S. and also looking forward to our the partners for the global market and expansion. So we are very excited with our strong achievement, the milestones, transformation year for 2025. And looking forward, we are more excited to see all the registration trial advance well. Looking forward to be ready to have the commercialized in U.S. Being the global leader in those therapeutic areas with best-in-class potential drugs for multiple hematology malignancies. And looking forward to working with you all and all the investigators and the investors around the world to bring the best drug to benefit patients globally. And thank you all. Have a good day. Thank you.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating, and you may now disconnect.
Thank you. Thank you all.